Monday at Clamages was routine. Peter was a senior sales assistant in the books department, a job that actually entailed very little. He clutched his list tightly in his hand, deep in his pocket, rejoicing in the feeling of power it gave him. He spent a most enjoyable lunch hour in the canteen with young Gwendolen, who did not know he had seen her and Archie enter the stockroom together, and even smiled at the smooth young man from the accounting department when he passed him in the corridor. He proudly displayed his list to Kemble that evening. The little salesman's face fell. "I'm afraid this isn't 10 people, Mr. Pinter," he explained. "You've counted the woman in the next-door flat and her dog as one person. That brings it to 11, which would be an extra—" his pocket calculator was rapidly deployed— "an extra £70. How about we forget the dog?" Peter shook his head. "The dog's as bad as the woman, or worse." "Then I'm afraid we have a slight problem, unless—" "What?" "Unless you'd like to take advantage of our wholesale rate. But of course, sir, it wouldn't be. There are words that do things to people, words that make people's faces flush with joy, excitement, or passion. Environmental can be one. Occult is another. Wholesale was Peter's." He leaned back in his chair. "Tell me about it," he said, with the practised assurance of an experienced shopper. "Well, sir," said Kemble, allowing himself a little chuckle, "we can, get them for you wholesale. £17.50 each for every quarry after the first 50, or a tenner each for every one after 200. "I suppose you'd go down to a fiver if I wanted 1,000 people knocked off." "Oh, no, sir." Kemble looked shocked. "If you're talking those sorts of figures, we can do them for £1 each." £1? "That's right, sir. There's not a big profit margin on it, but the high turnover and productivity more than justifies it." Kemble got up. "Same time tomorrow, sir." Peter nodded. £1,000. 1,000 people. Peter Pinter didn't even know 1,000 people. Even so, there were the Houses of Parliament. He didn't like politicians. They squabbled and argued and carried on so. And for that matter, an idea shocking in its audacity, bold, daring. Still, the idea was there, and it wouldn't go away. A distant cousin of his had married the younger brother of an earl or a baron or something. On the way home from work that afternoon, he stopped off at a little shop that he had passed 1,000 times without entering. It had a large sign in the window, guaranteeing to trace your lineage for you and even draw up a coat of arms if you happened to have mislaid your own, and an impressive heraldic map. They were very helpful, and phoned him up just after 7 to give him their news. If approximately 14,072,811 people died, he, Peter Pinter, would be King of England. He didn't have £14,072,811, but he suspected that when you were talking in those figures, Mr. Kemble would have one of his special discounts. Mr. Kemble did. He didn't even raise an eyebrow. "Actually," he explained, "it works out quite cheaply, you see. We wouldn't have to do them all individually. Small-scale nuclear weapons, some judicious bombing, gassing, plague, dropping radios in swimming pools, and then mopping up the stragglers. £4,000? That's incredible." The salesman looked pleased with himself. "Our operatives will be glad of the work, sir." He grinned. "We pride ourselves on servicing our wholesale customers." The wind blew cold as Peter left the pub, setting the old sign swinging. It didn't look much like a dirty donkey, thought Peter. More like a pale horse. Peter was drifting off to sleep that night, mentally rehearsing his coronation speech, when a thought drifted into his head and hung around. It would not go away. Could he? Could he possibly be passing up an even larger saving than he already had? Could he be missing out on a bargain? Peter climbed out of bed and walked over to the phone. It was almost 3 a.m., but even so... His yellow pages lay open where he had left it the previous Saturday, and he dialed the number. The phone seemed to ring forever. There was a click, and a bored voice said, "Berkhair Keach, can I help you?" "I hope I'm not phoning too late," he began. "Of course not, sir. I was wondering if I could speak to Mr. Kemble. Can you hold? I'll see if he's available." Peter waited for a couple of minutes, listening to the ghostly crackles and whispers that always echo down empty phone lines. "Are you there, caller?" "Yes, I'm here." "Putting you through." There was a buzz, then, "Kemble speaking." "Ah, Mr. Kemble. Hello. Sorry if I got you out of bed or anything. This is, Peter Pinter?" "Yes, Mr. Pinter?" "Well, I'm sorry it's so late. Only I was wondering, how much would it cost to kill everybody? Everybody in the world?" Everybody? All the people? Yes. How much? I mean, for an order like that, you'd have to have some kind of big discount. How much would it be, for everyone? Nothing at all, Mr. Pinter. You mean you wouldn't do it? I mean, we'd do it for nothing, Mr. Pinter. We only have to be asked, you see. We always have to be asked. Peter was puzzled. But when would you start? Start? Right away. Now. We've been ready for a long time. But we had to be asked, Mr. Pinter. Good night. It has been a pleasure doing business with you. The line went dead. Peter felt strange. Everything seemed very distant. He wanted to sit down. What on earth had the man meant? We always have to be asked. It was definitely strange. Nobody does anything for nothing in this world. He had a good mind to phone Kimball back and call the whole thing off. Perhaps he had overreacted. Perhaps there was a perfectly innocent reason why Archie and Gwendolen had entered the stockroom together. He would talk to her. That's what he would do. He'd talk to Gwenny first thing tomorrow morning. That was when the noises started. Odd cries from across the street. A cat fight? Foxes, probably. He hoped someone would throw a shoe at them. Then, from the corridor outside his flat, he heard a muffled clumping, as if someone was dragging something very heavy across the floor. It stopped. Someone knocked on his door. Twice. Very softly. Outside his window, the cries were getting louder. Peter sat in his chair, knowing that somehow, somewhere, he had missed something. Something important. The knocking redoubled. He was thankful that he had always locked and chained his door at night. They'd been ready for a long time, but they had to be asked. When the thing came through the door, Peter started screaming. But he really didn't scream for very long.